After winning the AFC Cup last season, Central Coast Mariners will be backing themselves heading into the Asian Champions League Elite this season. Sydney FC, after winning the Australia Cup last year, they'll be playing in the Asian Champions League 2, and the draws have been revealed, the opponents have been revealed, and in today's video, we are going to go through all the teams that our Aussie sides will be coming up against in Asia for the upcoming season. Starting off with Central Coast Mariners, who are our one and only participant this season in the Asian Champions League Elite, the top division of Asian continental competitions, and Johor Darul Ta'zim are the first side for Central Coast Mariners in regards to the home teams. They're absolutely dominating at the moment in the Malaysian Super League, top of the league. They've won the Malaysian Super League the last 10 years in a row. The last time they lost a league game was 2021, an incredible run of form there for Johor Darul Ta'zim. They've only progressed from the Asian Champions League group stage once in the last 6 years, so that's the competition that they're looking to sort of build some good form in for this year. And worth pointing out as well, former Perth Glory defender Shane Lowry, Australian centre-back, currently playing at the club as well, so a familiar name there. Next up, they've got Buriram United, and this name might be familiar because Buriram United took on Melbourne City in the Asian Champions League last year. They're currently top of the league in the Thai Premier League. They finished top of the league the last 3 years in a row, so they've been pretty dominant in Thailand as well. As mentioned, they played Melbourne City in the Asian Champions League last year. They did beat Melbourne City in Melbourne at AAMI Park last year, but did lose to them at home. And of course, they had Arthur Pappas coaching them at the time as well. You might remember Arthur Pappas was the manager at Newcastle Jets for a couple of years there, just a few seasons ago. So, couple tricky tests already, but it gets trickier from there. Yokohama F Marinos are the next team that Mariners will be facing at home. It's a huge one as well, because not only, yes, they are 9th in J1 League, which is a very competitive competition at the moment, but check this out. Currently managed by former Central Coast Mariners legend John Hutchinson. I mean, it's an incredible story. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the scenes to see, Hutcho return to Industry Group Stadium for the first time in many, many years. Of course, John Hutchinson was part of the Mariners squad that won the championship in 2013. He was part of the side that lost the grand final in 2008. Wore the captain's armband for many, many games as well, did Hutcho. So returning to the Central Coast here with the Japanese side. Former managers as well, of course, Ange Postecoglou, Harry Kuehl, Kevin Muscat in there as well as former Melbourne City head coach Eric Mombart. So plenty of familiar faces there in regards to the head coaches. They were, of course, runners-up in last season's Asian Champions League, losing 3-6 on aggregate in the end. They'll be looking to go one better, so what an absolute test that'll be, facing last year's finalists at home at Industry Group Stadium. And the final home game will be against Shanghai Shenhua FC. They're currently second in the Chinese Super League. Only lost one league game so far. Good form so far this season for Shanghai Shenhua. They have met Perth Glory, Sydney FC, Brisbane Roar previously in the Asian Champions League, so they are familiar with Australian opponents. They won the Chinese FA Cup last year as well to jump into the Asian Champions League Elite. So those will be the 4 home games. The exact dates and fixtures haven't been figured out yet. 4 home games, and then we've got 4 away games for the Mariners. Shanghai Port is going to be one of Mariners' away trips. We've got some really, really tricky away trips coming up here, as you will see. Currently first in the Chinese Super League, and again managed by another Aussie. It's Kevin Muscat. But how about this? At the moment, at the time of this video, they've scored 80 goals in 23 games. I mean, it's been an absolute incredible season for Shanghai Port. They have not lost this season. 20 wins, 3 draws, but 80 goals in 23 games is really quite incredible. Currently captained by former Chelsea player, former Brazilian international. He's played at World Cups. Oscar, of course, a name familiar with many football fans around the globe. They were knocked out of the ACL playoff rounds last year, so they'll be looking to turn this league success at the moment, take that form into the Asian Champions League Elite. Another huge test on the road for the Mariners. They'll also be taking on Vissel Kobe, who are currently 5th in the J1 League. They did win the J1 League last season as well. They've had some pretty notable names in their squad in recent years. Juan Matza, Iniesta as well, some class Spanish footballers there. They did face Melbourne Victory Victory a couple of years ago. They defeated Melbourne Victory in the ACL playoffs a couple of years ago, and they did make it to the quarterfinals in that season as well. Next up is Shandong Taishan FC, another team from China, currently 5th in the Chinese Super League, and again another team who have faced A-League opposition in the past, Sydney FC and Adelaide in the Asian Champions League previously as well. They made it to the quarterfinals in the Asian Champions League last season also. Kawasaki Frontale, another team from Japan that the Mariners will be facing, currently 10th in J1 League. They did win the Emperor's Cup last season and finished in the Asian Champions League round of 16 twice in the last 3 years, so they haven't been able to make it past that stage for the last few years. They'll be looking to go one better, of course, as well. So those are the matchups for Mariners. So some away days to Japan and China, very, very tricky, and some real tough games at home as well. But Mariners, look, they were so impressive in their run in the AFC Cup last year, but obviously the opposition, the quality is just, I mean, it's a massive jump, isn't it? It's going to be a real tough test for the Mariners, but hey, we'll be backing ourselves once again, of course, to hopefully have a really successful tournament this time around in the Asian Champions League Elite. Next up, let's talk about Sydney FC. They are featuring in the Asian Champions League 2, formerly known as the AFC Cup, which Central Coast Mariners won. So can Sydney FC replicate the success that Mariners had last year? They'll be taking on Sanfrecce Hiroshima, currently 3rd in the J1 League. And current club of former Melbourne City player Tolga Arslan. That was a big sort of off-season news story here in the A-League. I mean, with Tolga Arslan looking like he was going to stick around at City for another year, but suddenly, abruptly departed for Japan, and he is currently playing over there, Hiroshima. Recently scored a brace in a recent game there over in Japan as well. Again, more very much familiar with Australian opposition. They have met Melbourne Victory, West Sydney Wanderers, Central Coast Mariners, Adelaide United, all in the Asian Champions League previously as well. Kaya FC Iloilo also facing Sydney FC, and again, maybe another familiar name, especially for Sydney FC fans. They actually played each other in the Asian Champions League preliminary round back in 2022. Sydney FC winning 5-0 on that occasion. I mean, they're currently top of the Philippines Football League, undefeated after 14 games. Great start to the season for Kaya FC, but they did lose every game in the ACL group stage last season. That's the competition that they have struggled in of late. And Eastern SC as well, the final group stage opponent for Sydney FC. Let's have a look at them as well, because Eastern FC, team from Hong Kong. It's not often that we see Australian sides taking on teams from Hong Kong. They finished 3rd in the Hong Kong Premier League last season. They did win the Hong Kong FA Cup last season as well, and made it to the AFC Cup Interzonal Playoff semi-final in 2022 as well. So an interesting group there for Sydney FC. I think Sanfrecce Hiroshima, probably the trickiest opponents out of the 3 here. But look, Sydney FC will be looking at what Central Coast Mariners did, and MacArthur FC as well. They both scored, lots of goals in the group stage last season. They'll be backing themselves in this group stage once again to get through, and backing themselves to go all the way, because again, seeing especially what Mariners did, going all the way to the final. Look, it's tricky with all the travel and everything, but Sky Blues are already building a pretty formidable squad ahead of the new season. I think they'll be confident heading into this Asian Champions League 2 campaign. So there's a look at all the opponents that Central Coast Mariners and Sydney FC will be facing in Asia for the upcoming season. How do you think these teams will go in the Asian competitions for this upcoming season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks so much for tuning into the video. My name's Lockie, this is Coast Watch Football, and I'll see you in the next one.